Hello, my name is Macro, and this is Crossout. This is an 8 versus 8 player vehicle combat arena game, sort of. Not entirely sure what to call it. The closest thing to it would be games like World of Tanks and Robocraft. This is a game published by Gaijin, who are the same guys that did War Thunder and a variety of other games, and it's actually quite fun. It features ground vehicle combat with both tracked and wheeled vehicles, and all vehicles are player created from parts. There are no, well, there are some pre made vehicles that you can get from blueprints, but there are no sort of set tiers of vehicles like in World of Tanks or War Thunder or Armored Warfare or whichever other game like this you might name. So this game features a system of four factions, and one of them is a default one, the engineers, that everybody is in, and then three factions, the lunatics, nomads, and scavengers, that all feature their own unique parts and their own unique character. The scavengers have big guns and armored tracks, and they're all very tanky. Nomads are sort of a middle ground with the Vulcan machine guns and Reaper autocannons that are pretty damn powerful, and they also have drones and stuff like that. And I think this guy's got this guy's welding mask. He must have stolen it. The lunatics are the fast Mad Maxy. This guy looks like Roadhog to me, um, or Junkrat rather. Anyway, very Mad Maxy, very orky. Red ones go fast, so their shit is red, and they got buzzsaws and boomsticks, and they're very visceral and fast moving sort of faction. And you can join any one of these once you reach level 10 with the engineers, and then you can switch them every now and then. I'm not entirely sure what the timer in that is, and I'm gonna tell you in a moment. Doesn't actually seem to have any timer whatsoever, so you can pretty much switch at leisure. I'm assuming they have some sort of timer set up later, but I don't know for sure. The game features both PvP missions and PvE raids that use fuel, which is a resource that replenishes daily, to start essentially. You will need, you can see the cost and fuel here, and you will need to pay this cost in fuel if you want to start this mission. Now, fuel is replenished for free every day. You can also either buy fuel on the market, and this is sort of like an auction house where everything is put up by players. So none of this is in game by default. All of this stuff is made or looted by players and then put up here by players for sale. Or you can take a fuel barrel with you into a PvP mission and loot some for yourself. As you can see, I have 1,000 here, and I can go ahead and pour 40 into the tank, and now I'm all topped up, and I have a bit less here. But without further ado, this game does feature a modular vehicle building system, and this is exactly what I'm going to do here, and I'm going to build us a vehicle. You start off by putting up a couple frames, and I like this sort of wide front with narrow back design. I will I have a variety of cabins here. I have the starter cabin, which is like a pickup truck cabin. This Volkswagen one. The Vivern cabin, which is I think a Gloucester Meteor canopy ripped off, and this really big Kamaz truck cabin, which is what I'm going to use because I want some big guns on my vehicle. You can see it snaps to the frame with these rectangular points. Uh, God, I did something wrong here. Anyway, you can press Alt to see them. These are so-called welding points, and this is where you can put different parts. And some parts have welding points, some parts don't. The structural parts will have additional welding points on them, but stuff like where is it? I don't know. Let me just find it like that. Something like this. Fence piece. Will not. So you have to sort of manage that as well and keep that in mind. Which parts will let you put more parts on them and which won't. I will use wheels because this is the only thing I have. There are also tracks in the game. And I think they're planning on adding more types of movement, but they're not in the game yet. So we'll stick to wheels. I don't have any tracks because they're quite expensive. I don't have the resources to craft them yet. Oops. Let's just put nice 6 wheels on this. Powered at the front and back and unpowered. There we go. This is the sort of a final variant of the death machine that I was building. I decided to skip all the boring adding parts to it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the PvE battles, which I'm sure a lot of people would be interested in, at least judging by what people are interested in Armor Warfare. So they rotate these on a daily basis. One day it's races and one day it's defenses, and then they swap back, and I'm sure they'll come up with more in the future, but that is what we have right now. The races is what I'm doing right now, and the goal here is to collect 10 cargo containers before the timer runs out. And you get additional time when you collect the cargo, and you get additional time when you kill enemies, which are in this match. This is called a race, not because you compete with other players in a racing fashion, but because you have to get through the cargo fast. The defenses are a bit more simple. There are 3 pump jacks that have a health bar, and the enemy AI are trying to destroy it, and you are trying to not let them destroy it. Pretty straightforward. And for these missions you get various resources like copper, which are used for crafting various parts. And they're actually very important because every blue part, every rare part requires copper to be crafted, and then some epic and legendary parts are very copper hungry. So you would have to do these PvE missions if you want to be able to craft anything. Now, I'm not putting up too good a show here, but my vehicle is armed with a 20mm cannon and an 88mm big gun. I'm getting absolutely shredded by these dudes with machine guns. Machine guns and autocannons are very much a viable choice over bigger guns. I like the big booms, like this 88 I have here, but they all have limited ammo. The 88 only has 10 rounds by default, which you can expand by using ammo boxes, but that's a separate part that needs to be crafted and installed. The machine guns and autocannons use less energy to be powered, and energy is a resource that is given by your cabin and generators, which are also a separate part. So you can put more of them, and also neither autocannons nor the machine guns use any sort of ammunition system. The 20mm that I have now, you can see in the bottom left, well, bottom center on the left, you can see the little circle that fills up with yellow whenever I'm firing. This is an overheat mechanic, and any machine gun or 20mm, or there are also 25mm autocannons, and the rotary one as well, would just have this overheat bar, which is not much of a hassle. The cooling down times on most of these guns are quite low, and if you have like 6 machine guns on your vehicle, you can do some serious damage to even the big guys. It's a eternal argument of DPM over alpha damage. That's been a thing for, you know, since games like this have been on the market. You can see all the parts are dynamically damaged. I've lost most of my wheels, which is why I'm now super slow, clumsy, and can't barely drive anywhere. I could respawn, but I do not wish to do so because that would take away my immortal medal in the end, which is granted for not dying. Go figure. At the end of the match, you're awarded resources based on your performance. Based on the amount of XP you gain, an amount of XP is given to you based on how much you did during the mission. I'm not doing an awful lot right here. Got 0 kills, I've barely touched anybody, and I'm already pretty buggered. This is not the luckiest game out there. But it does showcase the modular damage, I suppose. And I'm not terribly familiar with this map, which is why I didn't realize that I actually can't go through this. If you drop into this goop on this map, you will instantly die. Now, my team seems to be doing quite well by themselves, so I'm not feeling too bad. What I am feeling too bad about is not having a good vehicle design, evidently. Although at the same time, there were a lot of people shooting at me. Whoops, and I'm dead. No, so much for the immortal medal. By default, you have 1 respawn, and then you can buy repair packs or craft repair packs that will let you get more, and that's that. I've actually gotten quite a decent amount of copper. I get about 14 or 15 in these missions generally, and you need like 50 for 1 part. So copper farming is a thing, because this is what crafting looks like. I'll just go over to lunatics. You can see I need copper, scrap metal, and some of these parts to be able to craft these things, and I also need to rent this workbench, which takes in-game credits, which are earned by selling things. So one thing I really am not a fan of, and you can speed up the crafting by also spending in-game currency, is that this game is very stupid, and it goes ahead and removes a part that is on your vehicle for crafting, even though there are 10 more parts just like that in your inventory, which is exactly the case here. Now I've got myself a wasp launcher, which is something I've never actually used, so I'll go ahead and plop it here and go for a quick test drive. So it's bound to the same right mouse button as my cannon, which is not terrific. So I went ahead and put my 88mm back in its place and went into a PvP battle. Now, while it is a PvP battle, in the current form it's more of a PvPvE. The closed beta does not have very many players in it, which means that the teams, when not enough people are queuing up to get 2 teams of 8 people, are filled up with bots. And you can see there are 5 people on each team and 3 bots. And you can tell bots apart by them actually having sensible names, like Yanis, Isabella, Kristen, Emma, Damon, and Adam in this case. And then the players would be like Fire1244, which makes, I mean, perfect sense in the internet. Does this guy actually have a... That guy actually has a rotary machine gun. Now, that's one of the bots, actually. The bots have some pretty cool hardware at these levels, some of which is not actually available to players, which is a nice chance to get yourself familiar with some of the higher end weapons without being absolutely obliterated by them, because bots are not the brightest bulbs in the bunch. Bots will do basic things like this guy went ahead and started capping when nobody was watching, which makes perfect sense. They drive around you and they shoot. They're not the worst. I've seen a lot of players that are worse. And we've actually absolutely rampaged through their team. There's only one guy left, and now he seems to have gone. Not entirely sure why I'm not seeing him on the map anymore, and now he's back, and now he is dead. So, that was easy. As you can see, I get fuel for having a barrel on me. Actually have 2, which is redundant. I've just now learned. I thought it was 25 per, but apparently it's just 25 if you have a barrel, which means having more than one is unnecessary, unless you're not sure about its survival. But really, if your fuel barrel is getting destroyed, your whole vehicle is probably going to blow up, because when it blows up, it deals some pretty crazy damage to everything around it, which is sort of a drawback to having it in the first place. This is a bot with a 100mm cannon. This is very scary. That is not a bot. So the previous mission featured a single base in the middle that was neutral and had to be captured by either team in order for them to win. What this is a more traditional two-way battle with a base on each side of the map that the enemy team needs to capture. I'm actually getting fucking plastered here. Lots of enemies on all sides of us, which is never good. And I'm not entirely sure why my vehicle is so unwieldy at this point. This guy just drove out straight into my 88mm rather. I just got absolutely wrecked. Yep, all my parts are falling right off. And we've lost because we've actually got our base captured. But that is it for Crossout. You would have probably benefited from watching somebody who's a bit better at the game than I am if you wanted to see how to play it properly. But I hope I have done a decent enough job of actually showcasing what the game's about, and then you can think whether or not this appeals to you. My name has been Macro. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next one.